This episode of Vintage Stormfront Freaks has been previously recorded.
Oh, I'd love to introduce this lovely lady. As you said earlier, Phil, she's currently a meteorologist at CNN, on-camera meteorologist at CNN. But before that, Jennifer was a weekend morning show meteorologist and actually a feature reporter for WTVJ in Miami. She covered severe weather, of course, any tropical weather, and also producing specials that focused on hurricane preparedness and safety, which is so awesome. She holds a BS in Geosciences, broadcast meteorology program at Mississippi State, also a BA in broadcast journalism from Northwestern State University in Louisiana. She also holds a seal of approval from the AMS, and she is a huge Saints and LSU fan. I got to get that in there. Also, a lot of you may not know this, but Jennifer is an avid fisherwoman, or if you want, whatever you want to call her. She has a passion for fishing. She's actually been on the cover of Florida Sportsman, which is so cool. And also, she's big into ocean conservation and has done a lot of speeches around the country trying to get people aware of what's going on in the oceans.
All right, welcome back. Hey, we've had a very active tropical storm season already this year. Maria's making another mark in the Caribbean as we speak. And there's a big challenge with hurricanes and tropical storms in that they can bring tornado force winds, heavy rain, and storm surge, which both can cause devastating flooding. And they also bring hard to spot, quick developing tornadoes. So with all of these dangers, you guys know we're seeing mixed messages, not only just on TV, but also on social media with what the true threat is and really what it should be. So what should our local and national TV weather faces be focusing us on? And from a national level, Jennifer, and obviously you have experience on a local level as well. Let's start with you. What have you experienced in the message we're trying to send? What do you think we should be sending?
I think the biggest challenge is just that every storm is different, and there's so many different parameters that you're trying to convey. I mean, these storms, like you mentioned, they have a lot of wind, they have rain, and depending on where you are is going to depend on what you're going to get. And so I think that's the biggest challenge when you have, say, a landfalling hurricane. You can't compare it to Andrew because somebody that lived in Fort Lauderdale did not experience the same Andrew that Homestead experienced, or even someone in Miami. So you have that. But you also have, depending on where you are, maybe for somebody, the wind is going to be the worst part of it. Maybe for somebody that lives 30 miles away, the rain is going to be the worst part of it. Maybe somebody in a different location, the surge is going to be part of it. And so I think it's challenging just to channel all of that to get people to understand what is going to be the worst for me and what's going to happen with this. And not only that, we're forecasting these storms days in advance. And so when you're talking about a storm making landfall 3 and 4 days from now, it's really hard to pinpoint the exact location of where this is going to be. That's why we have the cone, and that's why we try to communicate the level of uncertainty with these storms. But even right as it's making landfall, if this thing wobbles to the east or west or north or south just a little bit, that's going to mean the difference between maybe somebody getting hurricane force winds and somebody not, especially when the wind field's only, say, 30 miles with some of these storms. It's such a small area. And I like to compare that with, say, the Storm Prediction Center. There's a high risk day. They don't pinpoint one exact city. They have a circle around a lot of cities, like a region. And so I think trying to communicate the uncertainty and not get people in their heads to think this is going to happen, it's going to make landfall in, Miami or just south of Houston. I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is to get people to understand what we're trying to say and the uncertainty in that.
Having worked in Miami, were you just amazed at Irma and the scope of the damaging winds across the entire state?
I was. And I was, when I lived in Miami, we didn't have any huge landfalls while I was there. I started in 2006, so I missed the 2005 season. But I was amazed at how serious people took the storm. I was really impressed with that. I have a lot of friends down there, and I'm still keeping in contact with everyone really well. And I was impressed because it had been so long since they had had a storm of that magnitude, and it's a transient place. A lot of people have moved there that have never experienced a storm. And so the serious nature in which they took the storm, I was impressed with. The Keys, just getting so much damage. That was heartbreaking. That's such a special place for me. I used to go down there once a week to go fishing and hang out. So it was incredibly sad, but that's another storm. Everyone thought that it was going to impact Miami, and then the last minute it takes a little jog to the west, and the west side of the state gets it the most. So, it's there again, it's the importance of the uncertainty and that it's this entire region that could be impacted, not focus on one specific city.
I've got to give it up to Florida. They are one of the best states to get their, together.
Yeah.
When there's a hurricane coming.
Yeah.
They get out. They're smart.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Do you guys see an issue from and obviously Kim and Dina can talk about this as well, challenge of covering from a national level when, as Jennifer talked about, certain areas might have surge problems, certain areas might have wind problems, certain areas might have rain problems. Can you really, on a national level, when you're a national channel, do you think you can really cover that well?
I do.
Yeah, I'll tell you how we do it. And it's mainly like, we'll try to give you an overview and say, okay, these are going to be your impacts. This is where it's going. And then we'll break it down into certain pieces. Like, let's just talk about surge. And I think surge is one of the hardest things for people to understand. People don't know really what surge is.
Yep.
Until you explain it. And so you only talk about that. Okay, maybe it's 6 to 9 feet above sea level, where they're thinking, well, is that even bad? Sometimes you don't understand that. But if you give it to them like, hey, this will cover your first floor of your home, then they kind of get it. And Jen, you are completely right about all storms not being created equal, because like just now with Maria, when it went across Puerto Rico, they had only 6 to 9 foot surge, where like Irma had say 14, and that was like a cat 5 when it went over Puerto Rico. It's all like the bathymetry, like how it's oriented, how deep the water is. There's so many little factors. And we talked to Brady about being in Florida and how his place was just wrecked and somebody else wasn't too bad. So, just 10, 15, 20 miles of a path makes a huge difference. And people, that's the one thing I think is what I think people don't leave for, is they think, well, we've lived through this before. We'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Or we're on this side of town. I heard this in Harvey, like, oh, well, they're up in the Northwest. We're fine. No, you're not. You got 30 inches or 40 inches of rain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have to break down every little single thing. Like, okay, you're going to have this, and this. All right, now let's go to this and just talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
Because if you throw it all at them at once, it's too much.
And there's still going to be people that stay, like the people I talked to that stayed during Irma, they were in a place that was supposed to get 6 to 9 feet of storm surge. They only got like 1 to 2 feet, for whatever reason. I'm still searching for that reason why they didn't get, because I'm still trying to figure out storm surge. But now they were like, when I went and talked to them, they're like, yeah, see, I told you we should have stayed, because I was telling them, hey, you probably should leave. And now next time they get a storm system, they're not going to listen to anyone, because in their minds, they've already made up their minds that they're going to stay for anything now. And it's things like that can be really dangerous.
Mm-hmm. They're surely not going to listen to you.
No. I was like, come on. But I was really glad that they didn't get hit hard, but
right.
Yeah.
And it depends on maybe it's not high tide. Maybe they were at low tide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which they were. Actually, that was part of it. They were.
Yeah, that's part of it.
And the angle.
What's interesting too is we've had so many storms on top of each other. It's almost like, and I don't want to say people have forgotten about Texas, but they're on to the next storm. Mm-hmm. The devastation and the aftermath that continues for so long, I almost feel like people have almost unless you're in it right now, a lot of folks have forgotten about what's happening, or the rebuilding that will take months or maybe even years in certain places. Yeah. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I was seeing pictures too, like of a friend's house, and they had GoFundMe pages set up, and she was showing water, and it was up, like this was after the storm, that was still up, above her bathroom vanity. And you think, where are you gonna go? How this is gonna take so long to clean up? And we were talking about their cars, like your car's ruined. Even if you try to fix it and sell it, you have to say that it was flooded. I mean, there's just so many things, everything.
Yeah. I think as meteorologists too, it's important too that, because when I see a tropical system, I don't want to say excited, but I'm interested in it, and I want to talk about it to other people. I think us as meteorologists, we really need to be careful that we don't go too far out in the future, because then every tropical wave coming off Africa will be talking about potential impacts on, Florida. And then when that doesn't happen, then you get a storm like Irma that's a direct hit. And luckily people did take it seriously, but I think you have to be very, very careful about how far in the future you let yourself, because, if I'm put on TV, and more likely than not, I'm going to be talking about things that are still very, very, very far down the road, which, given the uncertainty, that's the crucial thing, is conveying that uncertainty to the viewers, and that's still something that meteorologists across the country are struggling with.
On a national level, you typically don't start talking about some of the effects that people might feel until it's at least a couple days in there, and then you give like a broad, it's kind of like a triangle. You start out the broad picture, of course, with tropical systems, you're going to get all these things, and then as the time gets closer, then you start narrowing it down. And then, come to that point of the triangle, the local people take over, and then they get specific. But even at the Weather Channel, we got specific. We would zoom in, in the Miami area or Tampa area, whatever, and show where the surge is going to be the worst. So National can do that and has done that. And but overall, you just start out big picture, talk about possibilities so people can start preparing for it. As time gets closer, then you kind of zoom in on, more specific, some of the things they're going to encounter, and then just down to the, last minute. But I think you're right though, Brady, you can't start, 5 days out telling people what they can expect. You gotta wait
Did you see the GFS
closer.
346-hour forecast?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Not long enough.
I saw someone on Twitter that posted a NAM, of Josie slamming, Boston head on. And it's like, you just have to be wary of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's a balance, because, I was talking to my friend down there, and it's like, if he wouldn't have left, 5 days before, he might not have been able to get out because of the fact that, he couldn't find a place to stay in Carolina.
Stuck in traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's like, you need to be able to give these people preparation, but you also need to convey uncertainty at the same time.
Because people are waiting to the last minute to evacuate, because it might not happen, or is it really going to be that bad? And
the other thing that I think we struggle with too is, with social media, not only are you have just people posting just the most random, bogus, out of this world scenarios that have no credibility, but also I notice a lot of people post on Facebook, and then they'll post an update. But you know how Facebook is, it doesn't do just the most recent. And so old posts will continue to show up. And so I think that sends a lot of mixed messages too, with people not realizing that's not the most up-to-date information.
Right.
Very true.
Is it, Jennifer, is it hard as well, because Kim and Dina, I mean, they work at a 24-hour, their experience obviously has been in a 24-hour weather environment, and you with CNN, it's obviously not a 24-hour weather environment. Is it harder to try to convey the message you want to convey for a tropical storm when you've got 20 seconds or just 3 minutes to do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a huge challenge for us. Luckily, though, whenever something as big as what we've seen over the past couple of weeks with Harvey and Irma, they will give you a lot more time. And so you can break it down. Of course, like you said, we don't do weather 24 hours a day, but we do get enough time to, explain it the best we can. And I think that they've been doing a great job of it. I've been watching a lot of the coverage since I've been at home, but yeah, that's always a challenge, especially when you are on a time constraint, to try to say the most important things, when you want to be up there talking for 10 minutes about it, you got to decide, okay, what's the most important thing? How I'm going to say this in the most simple way, the fastest way to get the point across. It has created a huge challenge for me and for our department. Whereas in Miami, we would go wall to wall and we would be on 12-hour shifts, you know, and you could talk as long as you wanted to about something. Having to shorten that is super challenging. Absolutely.
All right. So Kevin is a meteorologist for Rotogrinders.com Fantasy Sports and with CW33 TV in Dallas, Fort Worth. Now, Kevin has a bachelor's degree from Florida State University and a master's degree from Mississippi State, a seal of approval from the National Weather Association, and 5+ years working in severe weather markets. He's a lover of weather, science, and anything nerdy. I love that. I think you probably got everybody's attention, though, when I read this, that you are a meteorologist for Rotogrinders.com Fantasy Sports. That's like, oh my gosh, weather and sports together. How did you get that gig?
Total testosterone right there.
Absolutely.
Best gig, and it happened so randomly. I got a message on Facebook from a friend, and she said, hey, a buddy of mine is looking to hire a meteorologist. Something about sports or beer or weather. I don't really know. You should talk to him. And I was like, beer, yeah, hang on. I'll do this. And I sent out a message and got hooked up with Rotogrinders, and it's been about 4 years now, and it's awesome. I love it.
Did you even care if it paid? You just
no, yeah. I'm in. I don't even care what you're doing. I'm in already. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Kevin, do us a favor, because I think the general public has a little bit of an idea of fantasy football and fantasy baseball, and they might do that with their friends and everything else. But now, you know, this daily fantasy sports, I guess, fill people in a little bit on what that is, how that's different. Obviously, a little cash involved in that, but fill us in on that first.
Yeah, if you've been watching sports over the last few years, you've probably seen the commercials for like DraftKings or Rotogrinder or DraftKings or FanDuel. They were all over the place. And essentially, these are companies where every single day you make a new fantasy team. So let's take baseball, for example. Every day you have to draft players from all around the league, and you put a little cash down, and the hope is you can win some money. The issue is if you're drafting a team, and let's say you're picking currently a player in Cincinnati where it's raining, if it rains a little too hard and that game gets canceled, you're not going to get any money. You're not going to get any stats, and you're going to lose all your money. So they got sick of, trusting, the iPhone app for their weather forecast, and they decided they needed someone who can actually analyze storms, talk about the risk, and know when you got to bail on these games.
Wow.
Are you in Vegas? You look like you're in Vegas right now.
No, this is Dallas. This is in my penthouse. I have the background of Dallas.
Wow.
It's just a flimsy
See
little.
how it's kind of wavy. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I love that window.
It is a good gig. Yeah.
Hey, Brady, you should take note here. Looking for a job, right?
Oh, I'm taking detailed notes. Trust me.
They have Burger Kings in Dallas, don't they?
Do have these days.
So Kevin, what kind of money is involved in this? Are you aware at all of the kind of money that's being thrown into this daily fantasy sports now?
I mean, it is millions and millions and millions of dollars. I get people messaging me personally on Twitter saying, "Hey, man, I've got 10 grand riding on this game. Is it going to rain or not?" And so, and that's just one person. I mean, there are guys. There are guys out there, high volume players, who will bet thousands of dollars. Like $100,000 on lineups.
Wow.
Just in one day.
Wow.
Anybody Italian that you gotta, really make?
I've been worried. I'm always worried I get one wrong, someone's going to come.
Yeah.
Well, give us some stories. You got any good stories of some followers that just like you predicted something and it wasn't, or it was, and
because it happens. I mean, it's weather.
Stalker.
We're gonna make mistakes. So yeah.
Yeah, I try to always stress, like, what I do is not perfection, but I'm going to be the best out there. I'm better than your other options. But I had someone tweet me and they said, "Fell for Kevin Ross shit again." That won't be happening. Oh, man, I had like 99 games correct in a row and I missed one, and now you fell for my shit again.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to meteorology.
You haven't been a forecaster until you've had a death threat, though. I'm just saying.
Death.
Oh.
Oh.
Sounds like somebody's had one.
Yep.
Have you had one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So now, Kevin, do you get to play any like fantasy sports yourself? Like, is there? Because I know like.
Pete
Yeah,
Rose.
exactly. Like players, like in the NFL or something, they can't actually play.
I love them,
Can you do any of the fantasy sports that you predict weather for?
I could. I think there's a little conflict of interest because I'm moving. My forecast literally moved millions of dollars. So if I say don't play this game and no one plays it, and then I sneak in and play it and win a bunch of money,
exactly.
It's a little shady. So I do not play to make sure that no one's like thinking that I'm doing anything.
That's smart.
Crazy.
What sports are you doing and what aren't you doing?
Baseball's the big one. I pick because that's the sport where you get rainouts fairly often.
Sure.
Now football, you don't see rainouts. You're gonna play in some rain, but baseball's a big one. Golf is a big one. If there's gonna be a day or a time when it's really windy, people can pick golfers to try and avoid that maximum wind. And then NFL is always a big one as well.
Okay.
Do you do any college sports, college football, or anything like that?
College sports. They actually last year DraftKings and FanDuel pulled the college sports, so you're not allowed to anymore.
So Rotogrinders, do you play on Rotogrinders, or is that more of a stat and information website?
Yeah, it's a content site where you play on FanDuel and you play on DraftKings, and you go to Rotogrinders to figure out how you're going to make your money on those sites.
Yeah. And I quick add this because it was 2 summers ago. I got in on, what was that first one? Not FanDuel, but I can't even think of it. But one of them, I got in on like, gosh, I'll give this a try, and I threw some money at it. And I played. This was for baseball, and I played a couple nights, full day. And what you do is you typically play the day. So I'm going to play all the games going on this day. You're given so much fantasy dollars to pick a team, and the better players cost more. So you can't load up your team. You gotta kind of look at matchups and stuff like that. One of the options, I thought, I'll do this. I'll play the 50-50 option, where all you have to do is you have to finish in the top half of everybody else, and you're in the money.
Yeah.
And some of those, there's like 20 or 30 people playing, and I'm like, geez, all I got to do is finish in the top 10, and the bottom 10 don't get money. So I thought I can do that. And I remember the first night I played, I was, the first few games I was in the lead and doing really well. And as the night went on, I kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and I finished in the bottom half. And I'm like, good Lord, how did that many people beat me? And it's intense. You got to know your stuff.
Oh, there's so much information out there. It's insane. And that's another reason why I don't play, is not just because it looks bad, because I don't know enough about it and I'd lose all my money.
Yeah.
Phil, were you drinking as the night wore on? Is that the deal?
No, because you already pick your team. You got to throw in your team before the game start. Yeah. And as Kevin said, this is why it's important, is because if a team if a game looks like it's going to be rained out, like if a Reds game looks like it's going to be rained out, I don't want to play Joey Votto, because I might not get his stats. And if I don't get his stats, I'm in big trouble, because everybody else is playing a full lineup of people that are playing and getting stats. And that's why it's tough. But I guess, Kevin, what do you see? What direction is this going, as far as, you being a meteorologist and trying to do, where is this going? What's the future of daily fantasy sports and a meteorologist, and how you're getting involved in that and what you're doing for them?
This is the opposite of the direction broadcast TV is going in. And I'm in both careers, and I just see broadcast just slowly tanking, and I see daily fantasy sports, and soon I'm going to reach this intersection where I do more with daily fantasy sports than broadcast. I'm not there yet. This is going to continue to be a huge, huge moneymaker, and something that a lot of people are interested in. And there's a lot of legal battles ongoing now. So, states are trying to make it legal or illegal. The more states that fall pro DFS, the bigger this is going to get.
Now, are you sure your news director isn't listening right now? Could happen sooner.
He's looking around.
I'm looking.
Okay, so Kevin, so is this like a 24/7 job then? I mean, I'm trying to think, especially when baseball starts. I mean, it's got to be nonstop. Are you always checking the weather?
Yeah, it really is. It starts, I make my first forecast at 4 in the morning, and make another one before the game start at maybe noon, make another one before the afternoon game at 4 o'clock, make another one before 7 o'clock, another one before 9 o'clock.
It's like broadcast meteorology.
It's a nonstop gig. And, there's 30,000 people on Twitter asking me questions about the different games as well. So it's a lot. It is very demanding, but it's also, people love it. So I'm all in.
When does competitive bocce ball start? That's what I want.
We need to get in on that. I'm down.
I don't know if people would bet on that though, Maz. I think you probably have a hard time betting because
you're not Italian, buddy. Just saying.
I'm not. No, I'm not. But so Kevin, walk us through.
Other than the rain that could impact baseball games?
A hurricane,
wind,
a tornado would probably impact.
Okay.
Squirrels could delay. I guess.
If the winds are blowing out, huge advantage for hitters. If the winds are blowing in,
lightning.
Lightning, rainstorms. How about
humidity?
And humidity. There you go. You're on. Kim's killing it. Kim's killing it.
Of course, on fire tonight.
It's her day.
It's her birthday. Come on.
If it's one of those warmer, more humid days, the atmosphere stretches, it's thinner, and the ball will fly 10, 20 feet farther. So a hit that would normally be, right there on the warning track for an out, all of a sudden that's a home run. And that made somebody 10 grand. So
are you giving part of your forecast? Are you giving dew points and humidity percentages and such?
Yeah. Dew points, temperatures, winds. It is. It's everything, and people want to know, man.
That's why I lose.
Is the dew point 64 or 65?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And are you answering those? All those Twitter questions you're getting. How do you decide which to answer and which you don't have time for?
It depends what's going on. If there's games that are going to get canceled because of thunderstorms, I don't have time for the little stuff.
Yeah.
But the more, the thing about social media, the more you answer, the more people see the conversation, the more people start following you and getting in on it, and that's how you build up your following. So I try to answer them all.
Wow. So do you get any kind of compensation or for good verification? Are you compensated for doing a good job or anything, or is it just a base pay, or is it no pay? What is it right now?
It's a base pay. They pay me a certain amount of money to make these forecasts. I go on Sirius XM radio every day.
Oh, really?
And, I get paid to do that, and then
nice.
I do like kind of a little video blog, sort of like this, every day as well. I get paid for that. As if you get one wrong, they're like, hey, give me that money back.
Yeah.
It's
That's
kind
good.
of like in the broadcast mold where you do your best. I know that there's millions of dollars on the line, and I have 30,000 people following.
Oh my gosh.
Expect the best. So it's not about me doing a good job to get paid more. It's about me doing a good job so I don't let everyone down and have everyone lose their money.
Wow. You have more people watching you than probably on TV, so that's really something. Or following you.
Does it sound like Kim wants to be a partner, Kevin? I'm just saying.
It does.
I think it's awesome.
So who are your? So you guys, are you the only one with Rotogrinders? The only meteorologist?
I was the first daily fantasy sports meteorologist. They reached out when they contacted me. I was like, this is dumb. This is not. I just didn't think that I would have value, but I was like, all right, you know what? I'll go along with it. Maybe it'll work out. The more value I saw that it was, the more people enjoyed it. And now other companies have started, grabbing meteorologists. And one of my friends who's in broadcasting, I need a backup because this is 7 days a week for 6 months.
Wow.
So I got a friend of mine, David Walter. He's currently working in Erie, Pennsylvania. He does backup for me. So if I need a weekend off, I can be like, hey, David, baseball is a grind, man. I'm not Cal Ripken. I can't be doing this for like 1,000 straight games.
No.
So how are you getting that information out to your users and staying ahead of the competition?
That's a good question. Getting the information out is 90% Twitter. Twitter is huge because it's so helpful late breaking. It's just the best way to get the newest info out. But I also, as I mentioned, I do the radio show on XM. I do some blogs. I do like a little write-up, a lot of write-ups every day. But as far as staying ahead of the competition, it's just about every night earning their trust, because I am head-to-head with the other meteorologist every night. We're all talking about the same games. He thinks it's going to play fine. He thinks it's going to get delayed. I think it's going to get canceled. And in the end, one of us is going to be right. And hopefully that's me more often than not.
Man, when do you get to see your 7 kids?
I don't think I could do this if I had a family. I'm lucky
Your girlfriend's like, 7 what?
not to. Yeah. Sorry, babe.
Oh, I hate to drop that bomb on you right now. So tell us a little bit about your morning show that you've got, and why you opted to go that route instead of just being a typical meteorologist doing the evening news.
I work on a show called Eye Opener TV. It's nationally syndicated. We're in Dallas, Houston, Philly, DC, Portland, Quad Cities, Iowa, a few other random ones.
Interesting.
And it's kind of a fun-loving show. It's not, I worked in the grind. I worked in Mississippi. I worked in Shreveport, Louisiana. I know the grind of the standard broadcast life. It's tough. And I got this eye-opener job, and it's all of the fun of TV. It's having a good time and enjoying it. I love the morning show. It's more personality without all of the negative, all of the stuff that we'll talk about later in the program that's driving people out of the business.
Yeah.
So that it's a great show, and they hired me 4 years ago, and I'm just like, I'm good.
So you're having to do national weather stuff? Okay.
Yeah, it's both. I do the national weather 2 or 3 times during the course of the show, over a 3-hour show, and then I also do local cut-ins. So I'm like, how when Al Roker is doing the weather and he's like, now let's take a look at what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Myself.
Kevin, that's going to be pretty challenging though, Kevin, because I know forecasting though. I mean, that'd be, it's what would you say is your biggest challenge with having to cover such a large area and having to do it with such great detail to, have people's, money on the line,
Yeah, well, I think the hardest part as far as the national coverage on the morning show is just trying to get all of that information in one, 40-second weather hit. And Kim, I'm sure you know about this.
Yeah.
Trying to tell people in the Mid-Atlantic and Texas and Portland, there's so much going on, to try and fit that in 40 seconds is almost impossible.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, can't you just kind of do your daily ball game forecast and pretty much cover the entire?
I'll try that. From
48
now on, I'll
states.
just go up there.
You don't have to do any extra work. You just say, here's what's going on in San Francisco, Kansas City. Here's what's going to look like up in Minneapolis.
Birds, one stone. You're a forward thinker. You know that?
Hey, dude, you gotta do something to get to where I am right now, right?
Phil is full of all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff. Yep.
Well, I'm going to do this. We're going to keep moving ahead. First off, Kevin, can you tell, obviously there's a lot of listeners that know how to follow you, but those that aren't into daily fantasy sports, let them know how they can follow you on social media.
Okay. On Twitter and the Gram, as the kids call it these days, it is Kevin Roth.
What?
The Gram.
I don't call it that.
I've never
Wow.
heard that.
I never heard of that. What is that?
Oh my goodness, it's Instagram. Come on.
Oh, okay.
That.
Oh gosh.
I call it Insta.
I just showed my age.
Kevin Roth WX on Twitter and Instagram. And then Facebook, I am Kevin Roth Meteorologist. And no station names anywhere, because if you put your station name in your name, then your station has the power over you.
That's
So
right.
Don't do it.
That's right.
Keep the power. Fight the
Ah.
power.
Some advice. That's good advice. All right.
It is.
So let's do this. We're going to go ahead and jump to our lightning round. So
Uh-oh.
this is our speed round of fun questions. Sometimes we'll incorporate a game show, which we are gonna do tonight. So what we're playing tonight, Kevin, with you is our version of Hollywood Squares.
Okay.
Now you're kind of young, so I don't know if you're
I'll be
familiar.
honest, I know of Hollywood Squares, but that's about it.
All right, so we're gonna do our version, which doesn't include tic-tac-toe. So we're not playing we're not playing tic-tac-toe, but what I'm going to do is you're going to pick one of the freaks. And so I'm going to have you pick in 4 times. So there's 4 questions. You're going to go to Brady. You're going to go to Kim. You're going to go to Maz. And you're going to go to MJ.
Okay.
I'm out of it. So you can do it in whatever order you want. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to pose a question to them. And they're gonna give you what they think the answer is, and you have to either agree or disagree with them. Okay? Your goal is to try and get as many of those 4 correct. Does that make sense?
Okay, and they're actually going to try to give the right answer. They're not trying to.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They may or may not. You just have to decide if they're giving you the correct answer or not. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
So here's what we'll do. So we'll open it up. You can first pick any of the 4 freaks: Brady, Kim, Maz, or MJ.
Let's go down the line. We'll start with Brady here.
All right.
All right, Brady. Here's the
Take it
question.
back. Give me the birthday girl. What was I thinking?
Thank
Oh,
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
You're switching it up already. All right. So Kim,
Don't be sorry.
here's your question, Kim. If you're using the handshake or the pen holder grip, what sport are you engaging in?
The handshake or the pen holder grip? Well, let's see. So if you got your hand up like this or like this,
Are you flipping us off?
Careful. Careful.
I am now.
Easy.
Let's see. Okay, I played tennis. I used to play tennis anyway. Let me think here, because that sounds like something you would do when you play tennis. But I also play ping pong, and I don't know. I can't decide either ping pong or tennis. I think I'm going to go with ping pong.
Ping pong.
Ping pong.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, which I've never heard of that, but that's okay. Ping pong.
Okay.
Kevin, do you agree or disagree?
At first, I was thinking billiards, but I think ping pong makes sense because the pros do hold it really funny, like this.
Well, don't
And
flip us off too, dude.
I'm going with Kim.
Just check.
Yeah.
Ping pong.
Ping pong. That would
There you
be
go.
correct. All right. 1 for 1. Very good, Kevin. All right. Next up, Maz, MJ, or Brady?
We'll go with Maz.
All right, Maz. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. To loosen up, and you should know this, Kevin, but to loosen up, a baseball player puts a donut on his what?
That would be his wood.
That would be his what?
That would be his wood. And only because in the majors,
Good.
the aluminum bats were banned in the majors. So, what do you think I meant? The wood bat. Wooden bat.
Wooden bat? Oh, is that your answer? Bat?
Yes.
All right. Kevin, bat, agree or disagree?
I fully agree.
Very good. It is the bat. That's correct. Wooden or aluminum probably doesn't matter, but it is a bat.
No, it
All
matters.
right, so Kevin, you're 2 for 2, man. You're rocking it. You got MJ or Brady?
We'll go to Brady.
All right, Brady, ready?
Let's do it.
All right, this is going to be good for you. What is the proper way to address a foreign ambassador?
Well, so here's the deal. I know the answer, but do I want to give it to you? Maybe. Here's the deal. What I'm about to say, you have to say it in a British accent, and it's, "Dear Honorable Ambassador." That's the answer. Is it the answer?
Dear Honorable Ambassador, and that's obviously if you live in England, that's how you address
It has
that,
to be in an English accent.
Okay, so dear Honorable Ambassador, Kevin.
Yeah, I wasn't going to believe him until the English accent. That made it seem legit. I'm in on the answer. Dear Honorable Ambassador, lock it in.
Uh-oh.
What?
That Brady, that was very convincing with the British accent.
Wow, that was real tricky.
However, you address his or her excellency.
Oh.
I expect everyone to address me as such for the rest of our podcast duration.
My
as long
kids
as it's-
do. Yeah,
Your
my kids do.
mustached excellency.
Oh,
That's
it's really obvious on the camera. I can see it. It's really obvious.
All right. MJ. So we're going to finish with MJ. So
All right.
2 for 3. Let's see if you can get the final one, Kevin.
All right.
And Kevin, you were probably a fan of this. So G.I. Joe was a popular toy line in the 90s.
Mhm.
However, in the military, GI stands for what?
Gastrointestinal, I think, right?
Fortitude.
No, I'm gonna go with government issue.
Government issue. Sounds good. Government issue. Kevin, agree or disagree?
I was thinking general something, but government issue is better than what I had, so I'm gonna have to agree because I don't have anything else to replace it with.
And that would be correct.
There you go.
Government issued is correct. Kevin, awesome job, man. 3 for 4.
Now, if Mr. Mustache
Nicely
hadn't thrown me the curveball, I would 4 for 4.
That was good.
Thank you for tuning in to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. You can watch our bi-weekly show live on youtube.com/stormfrontfreaks and download the audio version on your favorite podcast player. For links to our Patreon team of exclusive benefits, show notes, past shows, new videos, merchandise, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. While you're there, check out our interactive chaser radar from our friends at zoomradar.com. If you'd like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Search for Stormfront Freaks. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.